Hello learners, welcome to the MOOCs course Philosophical Foundations of Education. Today we will discuss from Module 7 and Video Content 3, and the video title is A Critical Review of Froebel's Educational System. Friedrich Froebel, as I have already mentioned in the previous video content, that he was a German educator and the founder of kindergarten system, a revolutionary approach to early childhood education. His educational philosophy emphasizes learning through play, creativity, self-activity, and holistic development. Froebel's system sought to recognize and nurture the natural development of children by integrating a structured play, carefully designed educational materials, and an emphasis on nature. His contributions have had a long-lasting impact on early childhood education, influencing various modern educational theories as well as practices. Despite in many strengths, Froebel's educational system also has limitations and has been subject to critical analysis. This discussion examines the core principles of his educational philosophy, its strength, impact on modern education, and critiques regarding its applicability in contemporary educational context. And core principles that I have already discussed, again I am repeating here that learning through play. Froebel emphasized that play is the highest form of human development in the childhood. He believed that play enables children to express their thoughts, emotions, and creativity. Structured play, as opposed to free play, was central to his kindergarten approach, where children engaged in activities designed to foster cognitive and social development. The concept of kindergarten, Froebel introduced the term kindergarten, which means the children's garden, to symbolize a nurturing and natural environment for early learning. The kindergarten system combined free exploration with structured learning activities, ensuring a balanced approach to education. The role of gifts and occupations, Froebel developed educational materials called gifts, for example, blocks, balls, geometric shapes, and occupation such as weaving, clay modeling, and drawing. These materials were designed to help children to understand fundamental concepts of form, structure, and mathematical relationships. Then self-activity and child-centered learning. Froebel stressed the importance of self-activity, where children learn by doing, exploring, and interacting with their environment. He believed in child-centered education, where the natural interests and abilities of the child should guide learning rather than rigid teacher-directed instruction. And nature and spiritual development. Froebel emphasized the interconnectedness of nature and education. He believed that exposure of nature helps children to develop spiritually and intellectually. Activities like gardening, observing plants and animals, and engaging with the natural world were integral to his educational model. The role of the teachers and parents. Teachers were seen as facilitators of learning rather than authoritative figures. Their role was to guide, to observe, and support children in their natural learning process. Froebel also stressed the importance of parental involvement in early education, encouraging parents to participate in their child's learning journey, because not only teachers can give a shape to the children, the parents' involvement is very much important in the teaching learning process to realize the aims and objectives of education. Froebel understood and Froebel realized the importance of parental involvement, and that's why he stressed and encouraged the parents to participate in their child's learning journey. So, this was already we are repeatedly discussed about Froebel's educational philosophy, Froebel's kindergarten education system, and Froebel's importance in the present education system. Now, while we are observed, or we are going to take a critical review of Froebel education system, first of all, we have to take the strength and impact of Froebel's educational system. First of all, we have to see the strength, and what are the strength of Froebel's education system. First of all, lasting influence on early childhood education. What it means, Froebel's kindergarten system laid the foundation for modern early childhood education. His ideas influenced educators such as Maria Montessori, John Dewey, Rudolf Steiner, who further developed child-centered and play-based learning approaches. That's why Froebel's education system we can say it as a foundation for present early childhood education, because the later education is the later psychologist has supported his child-centric viewpoint in the field of education. And many contemporary education system incorporates Froebel's principles in preschools, Montessori schools, and Reggio Emilia inspired curriculums. Then secondly, we can see that it has emphasis on creativity and play-based learning. Froebel's concept of learning through play is now widely accepted as a fundamental aspect of childhood education. Play-based learning enhances problem-solving skills, social development, as well as cognitive abilities of each and every child. As we know that play is the natural tendency of the childhood period, so modern educational toys, building blocks such as Lego, and interactive learning methods reflect Froebel's influence. Then another point, that child-centered approach, which is very significant impact in the modern education system. Froebel's emphasis on self-activity and child-led learning has contributed to constructivist educational theories. His methods encourage independence, critical thinking, and exploration, which are essential skills in modern education, because in cognitive development, it has different parts: thinking, reasoning, problem solving, creativity, and all development will be possible through exploration. Free exploration, child-centered education will able to give all this development. Therefore, the Froebel's methods encouraged independence, critical thinking, exploration, which will give the all-round development of each and every children, and which are essential skills in modern education. Then integration of arts and practical learning. The incorporation of music, storytelling, drawing, And hands-on activities fosters holistic development. Holistic development means all-round development. This multidisciplinary approach is widely used in early education programs today. And these are some of the strength. And if we see the strength, that it has a lot, that kindergarten methods has a long-lasting impact in our present-day education system for better foundation of each and every children. But along with all this strength, we are accepting, but this Froebel's philosophy, Froebel's kindergarten method, Froebel's educational system is not beyond the criticism and limitations. So what are the criticism and limitations of Froebel's educational system? We should know, and that's why we have to discuss here. First thing is that in which ground the Froebel system of education has been criticized. First of all, overemphasis on structured play. Critics argue that Froebel's system, while advocating play, still imposed a structured approach, potentially limiting free and spontaneous exploration. Some modern educators believe that unstructured free play is equally or more beneficial for creativity and self-expression. Number 2, lack of cultural and social adaptability. Froebel's educational philosophy was developed in 19th century in Germany, and some of its principles may not align with diverse cultural, economic as well as societal context. In regions with different learning traditions and socio-economic constraints, the kindergarten model may not be fully applicable. So this may be said as the weakness. And third one, spiritual and philosophical orientation. Froebel's approach was deeply influenced by spiritual and philosophical ideas, emphasizing a divine order in learning and nature. Some educators and policymakers question whether this approach aligns with secular, scientific and evidence-based educational practices. Number 4, limited focus on academic readiness. While play-based learning is essential, critics argue that Froebel's system may not adequately prepare children for formal academic challenges. Modern education systems often emphasize literacy, numeracy, and standardized assessments, which were not central to Froebel's kindergarten. Then, fifth point of criticism, I should mention here that teacher training and implementation challenges. Froebel's system requires well-trained educators who understand child psychology and play-based learning strategies. In many parts of the world, teacher training programs do not fully equip educators to implement Froebelian principles effectively. The cost of maintaining well-resourced play-based environments can also be a challenge in underfunded educational settings. So, these are some of the criticism or limitations of Froebel education. So, what are the limitations? It has overemphasis on structured play, lack of cultural and social adaptability, spiritual and philosophical orientations, limited focuses on academic readiness, then teacher training and implementation challenges. So, on that ground, we can criticize the Froebel's education system. Otherwise, no doubt, Froebel's education system has a long-lasting influence in our modern or present-day early childhood education system. And we cannot think about our early childhood education system without the philosophical implementations of Froebel. And while we are discussing about Froebel's philosophy, it is necessary to discuss contemporary relevance and adaptations. Despite its limitations, Froebel's educational system continues to be relevant in modern early childhood education. Many of his principles have been adapted into contemporary teaching approaches, and these are Montessori education. Montessori education focuses on hands-on learning, self-directed activities, and the use of specialized material, much like Froebel's gives. Then Reggio Emilia approach. It means and it encourages creativity, exploration, learning through artistic expression, etc. Then another point that Waldorf education, which emphasizes play, imagination, holistic development, inspired by Froebel's emphasis on spiritual and natural growth. Then Finland's early education model. Finland's early education model incorporates Froebelian principles by emphasizing play-based learning, minimal standardized testing, and child-centeredness. And Frederick Froebel's educational system was a pioneering model, we can say, that reshaped early childhood education by emphasizing play, creativity, self-activity, and holistic learning. His kindergarten system laid the groundwork for many modern pedagogical approaches, inspiring educators worldwide. However, while his methods have had a profound impact, they also have limitations, particularly in adapting to diverse educational needs, the demand for academic rigor, and modern scientific understandings of child development. And critically, while Froebel's principles remain highly influential, they need to be continuously adapted and integrated into contemporary educational frameworks to balance play-based learning with cognitive, social, and academic development. The challenges lies in preserving the essence of his philosophy while ensuring his applicability in diverse and evolving educational landscapes. Frederick Froebel's philosophy has significantly influenced India's National Education Policy or NEP 2020, especially in the domain of early childhood care and education. Froebel's ideas about learning through play, holistic development, child-centered education align closely with the principle outlined in NEP 2020. So let's discuss in this regard the areas of Froebel's influence on NEP 2020, because I think it is very important to relate the ancient philosophical thought with our present Indian educational policy. Therefore, I want to mention in this video content how much Froebel's philosophy in our educational philosophy has its influence on NEP 2020 in Indian education system. Number 1, emphasis on play-based and experiential learning. Froebel believed that play is the highest form of learning for young children. And NEP 2020 integrates play-based, activity-based, and inquiry-based learning in the foundational years, which will be from 3 to 8 years of age group, through the National Curriculum Framework for Foundational Stage, which is in short we can say NCFFS. And schools are encouraged to use toys, storytelling, music, and hands-on activities much like Froebel's gifts and play materials. Number 2, holistic development approach. Froebel's philosophy focused on the all-round development of children, physical, emotional, social, and cognitive. NEP 2020 shifts from a purely academic focus to holistic education by integrating life skills, creativity, and socio-emotional learning from early childhood period. Number 3, flexible and multidisciplinary curriculum. Froebel promoted an interdisciplinary approach where children explore learning naturally rather than through rigid subjects. NEP 2020 introduces flexible learning pathways, blending subjects like art, science, and life skills to encourage interdisciplinary learning. Then number 4, which is early childhood care and education strengthening. Froebel was a pioneer in structured early childhood education, recognizing ages 3 to 6 as critical for lifelong learning. In this way, NEP 2020 formalizes ECCE, means early childhood care and education, in the 5+3+3+4 structure, integrating Anganwadis, pre-primary schools and Balvatikas into the education system. The policy mandates trained ECCE teachers, similar to Froebel's emphasis on specialized training for kindergarten educators. So, similarity is there. Number 5, focus on nature-based and real-world learning. Froebel emphasized learning in natural environments to develop curiosity and understanding. In this way, we can say or not that it is the influence of Froebel's philosophy. In this way, NEP 2020 encourages outdoor play, environmental education, hands-on learning experiences to enhance real-world understanding. Then number 6, teacher as a facilitator, not just as an instructor. Froebel viewed teachers as guide and facilitator rather than strict instructors. And this way, NEP 2020 promotes constructivist teaching methods where teacher encouraged self-directed and discovery-based learning. So we can say that Froebel's kindergarten method or Froebel philosophy has significantly influenced the National Education Policy 2020 in India, and in the domain of early childhood education, Froebel's ideas has been very influential, we can say, in our present day policy, from play-based experiential learning to holistic development approach to flexible and multidisciplinary curriculum to early childhood care and education and nature-based and real-world learning to teacher as a facilitator, not just as an instructor, that Froebel's philosophy has direct influences in framing our National Education Policy 2020. So, it can say that Froebel's influence is deeply embedded in NEP 2020, especially in its approach to early childhood education. By emphasizing play-based learning, holistic development, and experiential education, NEP 2020 modernizes and institutionalizes Froebel's idea, ensuring a child-friendly, flexible and inclusive learning environment for India's young learner. So learners, this was about Frederick Froebel's educational system, Froebel's kindergarten method, a critical review on Froebel's education system and how Froebel's education system has an influential factor in India's till our educational policy 2020, and in this way for our future period also this philosophical thought will have a powerful impact in the educational process. So thank you learners for listening this video content carefully, and for more details you go through our course content, and I hope you will better understand about Froebel's philosophy, Froebel's educational system, as well as influence of Froebel education in present education system. Thank you.